everybody. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to the FrontLines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. Well, we just saw President Trump accept the nomination of the GOP. Was there any doubt? No. But it was a very interesting speech, a lot in it. So I literally just finished watching it. So I did watch some of the other parts of the convention. I must say that it is truly the difference between dark and light. Even though Joe Biden is supporting the white against the darkness. It's sad and it's humorous at the same time. And I don't even know. That's more, as I said yesterday, a Freudian slip. But it's just amazing that how different that the two different parties are in this. One wants to tear down America. One wants to enslave everybody, and the other wants freedom and wants everyone to be able to be successful. It's really, really amazing to see this contrast at this time. It makes it very clear for most. I mean, I really think we can see 80% of everyone for Trump. Yeah, I get that there's a lot of Democrats out there, but I don't think that the more than 20% are just blindly following as automatons. I believe a good and that's of the Democrats, 20% of them. The rest, the 80% of the Democrats that are out there, they're your average, middle of the road. They want good things to happen, and they bought the rhetoric about the Republicans being bad, racist, and all this. How it came about doesn't matter. This is what the perception is. And I say at this time, what the difference is between the Democrats and the Republicans. One is for life, and one is for death. One is for Lucifer, it's in their logo, and one is for God. One removes God from their pledge, and the other emphasizes God. And on the Democrat side, I believe that, as I said, 80% of them are looking at where they're at, and they're saying, I don't go along with this. And even of them, they knew for a long time that the Democrats really weren't doing what they said. And here comes a politician that they're saying, oh, the bad guy, orange man, bad, that did everything he said he was going to do and wants to do more. Never happened before in my lifetime, a politician that did what he said. It's amazing. I think that most sane people will look at that and say, forget the party. Parties make no difference. We're voting on the man and on what we actually see, what the evidence is. One is destroying cities. One is creating jobs. It's really a no-brainer. It's that simple. And so I think we're going to see a mass migration away from the Democratic Party, of Democrats. The hashtag walk away big time. I think that's really what we're going to be seeing. I think that this is tied in with everything else, that the world is shut down. The world is hanging in the balance. It's not just America. It is the world. America has been the only country set up that gave rights by God, recognized that the rights of humans were given by God, and they cannot be taken away by government, by decree, by statute. No matter how much they've created a construct, a matrix of reality that is so encumbersome and has a beautiful golden or gilded cage, right? A gilded cage, right? It says all the amenities, right? Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi, food, clothing, shelter, The state is your father. The state is your mother. Everything is beautiful. You don't have to think about anything. Just do what we say. And but no one gets that beautiful life except for the very few that, as Joe Biden said, were willing to prostitute themselves. When he came into office as a young senator, was he first? But he came in and said he's prostituting himself. It's his word. I mean, the guy is forever giving these gems of, like, if you really want to see something so shocking to what he said, even back then, he never stopped. So we're going to see a mass migration. There were more black Democrats shown today. There was more young people shown today and giving their speeches. I'm not going to go through those. There's plenty of them. They're there for watching. You can tune in at any point and find something. And it's just interesting about this virtual convention side. So that you can. It's forced quite a different format, and I think actually it's pretty interesting and nice. It looks to me like Trump did have a nice sized convention. Where did he do it? On the White House lawn, packed with people. I only saw one mask someone was wearing. Traitor. Never Trumper must have slipped in there. No, sorry, just joking. Because the people that are wearing the mask at this point, it's a sign of submission, because it's a lie. Everything they've said about it is a lie. The science is in. It's proven again and again. Reports are there. All the reports against it that they put up always tend to be bogus and somehow, and they never report on how bogus they were. All right. Before we dive in any further, let me go ahead and get a little bit of the housekeeping out of the way. First, on the donations, I did receive another donation for $50. That was I'm very thankful for that. That brings me up to a total, with PayPal taking fees and that, of $194 something. So about just shy of $100, so $104 away from getting my rent paid. So thank you very much. Still no call from the landlord. I don't know if I'll make it through the weekend though, before that call comes in. But I'm have great faith in my audience and everyone that we've been working with all this time to help. And again, I really believe I'll be out of the situation by next month, and we can see how things are going to be changing quite a lot. A lot of different things will happen. See what else. Okay, so let me go ahead and before we get bring up. Now let's change my screen here. So so here I'm still promoting Parler. I got a little sidetracked for a while and stopped posting, but I'm back to posting. I posted yesterday's here. I have 25 views on there from 3 hours ago, and I want to keep posting there. And please do sign up and get a Parler account. If you're there's two social media that I'm promoting in general, and that's going to be Parler and, of course, LifeForce. And the LifeForce, messaging in under groups, as well as the general home screen where you can see general announcements. Please sign up and associate yourself with one of the assemblies. And as for the assemblies, people who are in charge, please post schedules. That would be very helpful. We're going to talk about meetings. I think they talk about the meetings in the last meeting and so the new people that haven't been to the last meeting are not going to be able to join. So please do post. Next is qmaps.pub. We talked about this yesterday. For some reason, the site had disappeared, and there was like someone scammed the site. They do something where they kind of slip in another website, on top of the site you're looking for, and so that was one. But this is the latest post, which was from the 27th, 4627. So in this, if you want to notice that, I'll blow this up. This is the Democrat logo for their 2020 or their campaign. Yeah. So watching DNC last night, I noticed their logo. Now, where have I seen that uneven star before? So looking at that, you got the light blue here in the center, right? And then you've got the dark blue background on this. Now, why would they do that in the first place? Does that make any sense? If you're designing a logo for 2020, what in the reason would you do that to the star, right? You just leave it a solid blue, either the light blue or the dark blue, or even a whole other color, but you wouldn't be breaking it up this way. But, you see the Baphomet in the center here. It definitely, this V, this Y, we call the Rothschildians because of the antler head that they were in that one picture. They showed the kind of a disguise, looking like they're wearing a deer's head with the giant antlers, showing the Y. This Y symbol is also shown, meaning Baphomet. So again, Satan, Lucifer, all of them. All right. So let's see what it says here. One party discusses God. One party discusses darkness. Which is which? One party promotes God. The other party eliminates God, removes from their Pledge of Allegiance. Right. Symbolism will be their downfall. They're being symbolic. They take away these things. The great deceivers. Now, is this not something that's great, showing being deceived? They're deceiving everyone that's there. Hey, by the way, we're a Luciferian cult. We didn't want to tell you. All right. When was the last time you witnessed the Tea Party leader being patriotic, exhibiting national pride, love of country? I can't remember ever a time, actually. When was the last time you witnessed the Tea Party leader speaking out against the riots, violence in the streets? Well, it's a fiction, right? It's not real. Nadler said, it doesn't exist, right? They're all not saying that, they're ignoring it, right? When was the last time you witnessed the Tea Party leadership support those who took an oath to protect and defend? So when are they supporting the police? They want to defund the police. When was the last time you witnessed the Tea Party leaders support and call for unity across the nation? Yeah. Why are they not calling for that? All assets deployed. Information warfare. Infiltration. Destruction of America. Have faith in humanity. Have faith in yourself. United we stand. God wins. Q. Or those guys. See, I said it again. There I go. Hard to set that aside, I tell you. Okay, in the meantime, I just want to point out I did look at another site. This one right here. It's qalerts.app. It's you can consider it a backup site. You could still go to 8kun.net. It's a .net, not .org, not .com, .net. 8kun.net. And you could get the originals there, but it's a bit confusing for most internet, dwellers. So these sites make it a lot easier to follow along with the posts. Okay. All right. So let's flip this around now. So first we have Rudy Giuliani. So Rudy gave a nice little speech there on exactly what he thinks is going on. He gets pretty fired up. So let's listen to Rudy.
My name is Rudy Giuliani, and I'm the former mayor of New York City. In 2013, my city elected a self-described progressive Democrat as mayor. New York City, once described as America's crime capital, had become, by the mid-1990s, America's safest large city. Now today, my city is in shock. Murders, shootings, and violent crime are increasing at percentages unheard of in the past. We're seeing the return of rioting and looting. During riots, this Democrat mayor, like others, has often prevented the police from making arrests. And even when arrests are made, liberal, progressive DAs release the rioters so as not to disrupt the rioting. New Yorkers wonder, how did we get overwhelmed by crime so quickly and decline so fast? Don't let Democrats do to America what they have done to New York. Again, the Democrats are urging you to vote for an obviously defective candidate. Biden has changed his principles so often, he no longer has any principles. He's a Trojan horse with Bernie, AOC, Pelosi, Black Lives Matter, and his party's entire left wing, just waiting to execute their pro-criminal, anti-police, socialist policies. The whole unprecedented wave of lawlessness began with a truly just cause: the unforgivable police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Peaceful protests began all over the land. The condemnation of the killing was universal, from President Trump to Democrat leaders. It seemed, for a few brief shining moments, Democrat and Republican leaders would come together with a unified proposal to reduce police misconduct. This possibility was very dangerous to the left. They had a president to beat and a country to destroy. And although an agreement on action against police brutality would be very valuable for the country, it would also make President Trump appear to be an effective leader. They could have none of that. So Black Lives Matter and Antifa sprang into action, and in a flash, they hijacked the peaceful protests into vicious, brutal riots. Soon protests turned into riots in many other American cities, almost all Democrat. Businesses were burned and crushed, people beaten, shot and killed, police officers routinely assaulted, badly beaten, and occasionally murdered. And the police handcuffed by progressive Democrat mayors from doing anything but observe the crimes and absorb the blows. But the worst of it was the slaughter of innocent young people with their whole lives ahead of them. The murder of 4-year-old Gran Talfaro in Kansas City shocked the nation, but not Black Lives Matter or their many Democrat supporters. 17-year-old basketball star Brandon Hendricks was killed in the Bronx just days after graduating high school and on his way to St. John's to play basketball. He passed with only a brief mention. 1-year-old Davil Gardner Jr. was shot and killed in a stroller.
So all of these deaths, sorry, Rudy, for interrupting, not to be rude, but all these deaths are at the hands of these Democrat leaders in these cities. De Blasio, right? What did he do? He released the prisoners from the jails. What else? No bail, no cash bail. That means you just get out of jail. They come in, book you, and then they just release you. So if you bring criminals in and then just release them, and if you have criminals in jail and you just release them, and you wonder how crime just shoots through the roof and people end up dead, it's their fault. de Blasio is as a Marxist. He changed his name to avoid his past. He's part of this conspiracy. Nipples Cuomo, is part of this conspiracy. For them to basically do the things that they've done and killed so many people from their actions, from what they've done, indirectly or directly causing the deaths of many, many people. We have to have justice in this. So it's very important for us to realize what's been going on. The vote is coming up. We need to vote these people out. Everyone has to flood the Republican Party. You have to run for a Republican, even if you're a Democrat, right? And don't think about what we've been told one side represents and the other side represents. Forget it. Forget all of it. Let's just go back to the basics and say, okay, two-party system, we can't avoid that. It's already, the structure is there. We've got to take over one side and just let the Democrat side fade into non-existence, right? Don't try to resurrect it. Just focus on one. Bring all good ideas. If you want to talk about universal basic income as a Democrat, bring it on. Bring it into the Republican Party. Join. And talk about a business solution, something that works. In the structure of this current financial system, you cannot have universal basic income and have the system function. You want to have Medicare for all? Well, what do you mean? You want to have everyone covered by Medicare without them going bankrupt. We get it, right? There's a solution that has nothing to do with having the single payer of this existing financial structure. It won't work. It won't work. What will work is changing the financial structure, eliminating interest-based money from a centralized bank, eliminating taxing the people. Yes, eliminate taxing. Now you can charge taxes between countries on trade. Great, wonderful. Worked very well. Country was wealthy. Made a lot of money that way. But we have to change how money is used, how it's created, how it's brought into the system, how it is, used, and have the government be the only one sending money out and never collecting a dime. Think it's crazy talk? Well, let's have the conversation. Let's do it all in the Republican Party. Those ideas that you have for liberal ideas, they're all heart-based. Fine. Bring these heart-based ideas. We don't want people to be suffering, right? But this dynamic that we've had about the business side versus the social engineering side, it doesn't work, right? It's got us to be at odds with one another. It's not about whose ideas are better or anything like that. It's always about separating and dividing. Stop it. So first step, join the Republican Party. Second step, vote Republican across the board. Third step, you run, or you find people that are well suited to get into there and hold up what you think is your ideas. Criteria: no attorneys, no one from media, and no one from unions. It's not off the top of my head. I've had this idea since my early 20s. So it's stupid, have these people put into politics. No, they need to be representatives of the people. Allow for there to be the original standard for representation was 50,000 people. You can't have a representative just because they're in a part of a big city. Now they're representing 10 million people as a representative, or 100,000 people. No, 50,000 is even a high number. We can have representatives that represent 10,000 people. We can actually change it and bring it down to 10,000 people. We have the facilities. They chose 50,000 based upon what was happening 200 years ago. We can change this. We need to basically take everything that we've been fighting about and come up with answers. And that means restructuring, changing how things are done. And number one, two-party system. Leave that insane side behind. Wanting to dismantle the police, dismantle businesses, have everyone be without and be asking for the government for everything. Do you think that you're going to be well off being able to just barely scratch and survive under this progressivism? You think that the people on the top are going to be acting any different than they are right now? Then you'll have no power whatsoever. And if you don't think the right way, you'll be ostracized. We see it in the censorship that they've been doing. All right, well, let's finish up. We've got 2 more minutes with Rudy. Let's go back to Rudy.
At a cookout in Brooklyn, and it caused no outrage. For President Trump and for us Republicans, all Black lives matter. And the lives of LeGrand and Brandon Davel matter to us. All lives matter to us. These continuous riots in Democratic cities gives you a good view of the future under Biden. All 5 of the top cities for homicides, like the top cities for rioting and looting, are governed by progressive Democrats, using the progressive Democrat approach to crime, which is to do nothing substantive to reduce it, to release prisoners, as many and as soon as possible, and to go to war with the police, the only group with the capability to protect your citizens. It is clear that a vote for Biden and the Democrats creates the risk that you will bring this lawlessness to your city, to your town, to your suburb. There is no question that this awesome job of restoring safety for our people cannot be done from your basement, Joe. There's also no question that President Trump will fight with all his strength to preserve the American system of government and our way of life. In critical times in our history, America has always been blessed with the right person to handle the crisis. Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Reagan were perfect for the challenges they faced and brought our nation through gloriously. President Trump, with his boundless love of our country and all our people, his disciplined work ethic, his exceptional ability to inspire, and his deep understanding of our system of government and the strength of American values, is the man we can trust to preserve and even improve our way of life. Mr. President, make our nation safe again.
Rudy left off one thing. I'm as mad as hell, and I'm just not going to take it anymore. He had some fire going there. Go, Rudy. He would have been a good president. I tell you. All right. So this one is Trump discussing, sending troops to Wisconsin. So we'll go ahead and we'll listen to on this one.
Last night was very quiet. The night before wasn't, and the reason it wasn't, they didn't have proper protection. But I respect the governor's decision to get that protection. The National Guard did a fantastic job. Mark Meadows is here. We called up the National Guard. We sent it out, and they did a fantastic job last night. We had virtually no incident. Portland should do the same thing. These are all Democrat-run cities that should do this, as they did really in Wisconsin. So it went very, very smooth. We had a relatively small force. We could be much larger if necessary. We'll move a very large force there, but we didn't need too much, and it worked out very well in Wisconsin. And all I ask is that the these cities that are having difficulty, if they call us, if they request that we send the National Guard, they will be there instantaneously, and we will put out the fire, we will put out the flame, we will put out the vandalism, because the vandalism and the looting is ridiculous to allow this to happen. I don't know how they could possibly do it and why they do it. I don't understand, because all they have to do is call. They could call me, they could call Mike, they could call any one of us. We'll have the National Guard there, and we will stop the violence very quickly. Chad, I think you might want to say something about that.
Absolutely, Mr. President. I think what we've seen across the country, particularly in Portland and other cities, is when the capacity outstrips what the state and local law enforcement can do, they need to pick up the phone and they need to request help. In those cities that do that, we see the violence curbed and reduced almost immediately. So I would encourage other other cities that are targets and that are experiencing this violence, particularly Portland. The governor needs to send in the National Guard, needs to step up and ask for help if they need it. It's over 3 months of violent activity in Portland, and it needs to come to an end.
We could solve that problem so easily and so quickly. And it seems such a shame that for political reasons, I don't know, it can't be good for them politically, but these, let's call them Democrat governors, or frankly will respond to a mayor also if they need help. But Portland's a great example. It's been going on for 90 days, and we could put it out in 1 hour. All they have to do is ask us to come, and we will be there with the National Guard. We actually sent Homeland Security officers in to protect the courthouse because they were unable to protect the courthouse. And as soon as they got there, the courthouse was protected. But we'd like to go a big step further than that, and we could fix the problem very quickly. But they have to call us, and we have to respond to their call. That's the way it works.
And your reaction, sir, to the NBA protest yesterday against another shooting of a black man by police?
Well, let's just stop right there for a moment. So we have Wisconsin calling for help, right? So it's going to end. Now what about Portland? So we know that this is, this battleground where this is taking place is being allowed and actually promoted. They want to destabilize the whole environment there. I think they're starting to see it's not working. The people are blaming the politicians, the local politicians. I think it's seeping in right now. I think we're just going to start seeing them flip because it's getting close to election time. They're going to say, my goodness, we can't keep doing this because the people are blaming us, the Democrats. Right? So I think you're going to see all of this flip pretty quickly as they try to do cleanup. The aspect of what is to come, right, in these elections is going to be devastating for the Democratic Party across the board. Who's going to continue to vote for these people? Even if you're not in one of the states that has this, and you've had even, let's say, some of the states, so let's say Texas, for example, where they've had this push because of all of the Californians that left California because of the failed policies, right? It's horrible conditions. They ran away. They ran to Texas. Now they're there and they're voting. They've been voting Democrat, right? They didn't change their party. So it's like an infection spreading. But I think this is the inoculation. This is the vaccine. Trump is the vaccine to the Democratic Party. It's the virus of the Democratic Party. Because what we see this is, I think we're looking at the next clip. Not this. We have another part here. We'll finish watching about the NBA because this is worth listening to. But we'll go on to Trump's acceptance speech. He talks about the invisible enemy. And when we get there, well, let's listen and see, does he also mean not just, the Illuminadonkeys? Does it also mean the Democrats? Does it also mean the Marxists? Does it also mean Antifa? Is it this part of the virus that needs to be cured? I think that's really the picture that's being painted now. So, okay. Let's finish this. I've got about 2 more minutes.
I don't know much about the NBA protest. I know their ratings have been very bad because I think people are a little tired of the NBA. frankly. But I don't know too much about the protest. But I know their ratings have been very bad, and that's unfortunate. They become like a political organization, and that's not a good thing. I don't think that's a good thing for sports or for the country.
Mr. President, you have a large storm. You have the fallout from these police shootings. Is tonight an appropriate time to have a political celebration?
Very appropriate. The country's doing very well economically. We're on a V. It could even be a super V. We set a record last quarter on jobs. The job numbers were, as you know, over 9 million jobs. It's a record in the history of our country. I think we're going to have a GDP that's going to be mind-boggling. Now that'll be announced, interestingly, just before the election, so that'll be very interesting. But the Fed, as you know, I guess it was the Atlanta Fed, announced that they projected a 26% GDP. There's never been any such thing anywhere in the world as a 26% GDP.
26% GDP. That's for that quarter. So, now that's massive GDP. 4% a year is a good year. If you get 5 and 6%, China had to maintain 6% GDP to keep people from rising up and throwing them out, or the CCP, throwing out the CCP, that is. But that's massive. So this super V is more like an I, a straight line up and down. It's almost like a blip.
So we're doing very well. We're coming back, and that's despite the fact that great places like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan are shut down unnecessarily at this point. It's crazy what they're doing, but they're doing it, I think, for political reasons, because they'd like the number to be as low as possible. And actually, I think they're making a tremendous mistake. And you have to remember, the shutdown, what we did initially was a very, very important thing. Otherwise, you'd have millions of people dead. You would have millions of people. And then we learned, and we watched closely, and now we have vaccines coming very soon. We have therapeutics. It's been incredible what's taken place. But I have to say, they should open up their states. Let them open. Let them open safely and carefully. Open up their schools. Let them play football. It's got to open up. And we had a great number of doctors, as you know, in the office yesterday, the world's leading experts on this, and there's great danger to shutdowns. And that's in the form of suicides, in the form of alcoholism and drug use, and so many other things are caused. It's a bigger problem. So whether it's North Carolina, Pennsylvania, or Michigan, or others, they should open up, and we have to get on with it. It's very sad. It's very dangerous what they're doing, actually.
Have you seen the video of the shooting death of Jacob Blake?
They're doing it for political reasons. So we have tremendous passion for this country. We love our country, and we want our country to do well. And I'll see you all tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay. So on that note, he was just mentioning. Let me show you this. This is new from RT YouTube channel. Lockdown inspires suicide on course to dwarf coronavirus deaths in Australia. So, yeah, the amount of harm that this is doing from the lockdown is way more. So, I just wanted to point that out. So, let me bring up the next one here. Oh, no, that's not it. There we go. So this is Trump in in his acceptance speech. So it's only about a 3-minute clip, just from the very beginning. It's really a wonderful speech. It's about an hour, probably more than an hour, but it's well worth going through. So getting some time, go ahead and watch it. But I just wanted to point out this one piece.
Of a bloody civil war, President Abraham Lincoln looked out these very windows upon a half-completed Washington monument and asked God, in his providence, to save our nation. 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor, Franklin Delano Roosevelt welcomed Winston Churchill, and just inside They set our people on a course to victory in the Second World War. In recent months, our nation and the entire planet has been struck by a new and powerful invisible enemy. Like those brave Americans before us, we are meeting this challenge. We are delivering life-saving therapies and will produce a vaccine before the end of the year, or maybe even sooner. We will defeat the virus and the pandemic and emerge stronger than ever before. What united generations past was an unshakable confidence in America's destiny and an unbreakable faith in the American people. They knew that our country is blessed by God and has a special purpose in this world. It is that conviction that inspired the formation of our union, our westward expansion, the abolition of slavery, the passage of civil rights, the space program, and the overthrow of fascism, tyranny, and communism. This towering American spirit has prevailed over every challenge and lifted us to the summit of human endeavor. And yet, despite all of our greatness as a nation, everything we have achieved is now in danger. This is the most important election in the history of our country.
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At no time before have voters faced a clearer choice between two parties, two visions, two philosophies, or two agendas. This election will decide whether we save the American dream or whether we allow a socialist agenda to demolish our cherished destiny.
There we go. So you can see, when he's talking about going after this invisible enemy, he's putting in context of all the other wars that we've been through. And it's more than just about the battles in the wars, the typical army type battles, but he was also putting in context of the advancements we've made as humankind to eliminate slavery, or at least the start to abolish slavery. Obviously, we're still in the midst of it like no one's ever seen before. It's just hidden. To do the civil rights movement. Who else did that? Right? It was America that did that. This is the bad country that everyone wants to get rid of. The one that started the ball rolling to get rid of slavery, to push civil rights for people. These are major achievements in our stepping stone for humanity. And now we're fighting an invisible enemy. Now we're fighting. It's labeled as communism. It's labeled as China. But behind that, we know that this is the invisible enemy of coronavirus. Is that the virus that we're referring to, coming from China, was really a virus of greed, a virus of the 7 deadly sins, of all of the things that are from the shadows, the things that are to do everything the wrong way, and to lie about everything, to cheat, to steal, to be without honor. So we've achieved a lot. The world has come a long way, and America has led that. And we need to we need to move beyond where we're at. We need to put the rest of this ideology, this Marxist, Leninist, communist progressivism behind. Not the ideals of the things that we wanted. Please don't get me confused. It's not about an individual issue, because we all want the same things. We have to realize that. We want everyone to have health care. We want everyone to be able to survive, well, even if they don't want to work much in their life. We still don't want that person to die of starvation and on the streets. And, we have a heart. But we could develop a system that would be able to take care of that as part, not as a side condition, not as an issue to go after, but as part of the system. It just happens, right? That there is no one that would be without, because the system didn't allow for it. It's not about charity. It's about recognition of the value of every single person. That the value that we contribute by participating in the system is why there is a system. Without our participation in it, there is nothing. There is no currency running around. There is no energy. So we have to take those steps and realize that we can change the system right now. There is no other time. The last time was 500 years ago. Okay, so let's not do that anymore. Let's not wait. Let's not repeat. Let's not go back into another system where they, eliminate and bring back gold for a little while and then go back to fiat again and keep us enslaved again. We have to get out of that completely and not allow it ever to return, ever, in any form. Hello. I'm looking to see if I'm still on. I got messages that I was knocked off. I was on a roll. Looks like we're doing okay. No one chatting though. I see no one chatting, but that's okay. And no one has anything to say. 16 viewers for the moment. It does look like I'm on. Excellent condition. So do what you can to help promote, the videos, help get involved, join the assemblies in Life Force. Anything you can do, get involved, take some steps, get on to the local school board. These are the things we have to do. All right, and this is the time to do it. Just look, after this election cycle, is over, so much is going to change. You've got to be ready to move. Got to get ready to make it happen. So, all right, I think we're good now for today. We will come back tomorrow. You have a wonderful day, and I'm just really excited, that we're at this position, right? Because for my whole life, I've been looking for the time where things start to change, and I've never seen it until now. I've been pushing every which way I can for a long time, my whole life. And every little bit, every little step, how to get there. And now there seems to be a clear path ahead. The light at the end of the tunnel is overwhelming. You got to get there. All right, and I got something for tomorrow. I am going to go over something kind of interesting. I'll just show you. I'll just show you the link, and let me just show you what it's about. I didn't want to cover it today because of us covering the president. This was the convention night where he spoke. But this is a 17-minute video. It's called The Inky and Enlil Revelation Endgame, this series, special presentation from May of 2017. Now, this gives a storyline about like the battle between Inki and Enlil and Anu and the Anunnaki and reptilians and the Anunnaki and as a separation, and how Satan is actually a reptilian, not an Anunnaki. Interesting little perspective there. It also talks about Inki and Enlil being reincarnated, and they're both here and now, and they mention who they are and that they've reconciled. Great. I think Inki is a cardinal something. Anyway, I watch it. It's an interesting perspective. If you want to go through it, try to look that up. I'll go ahead. I'll put the link in the description of the video right after I'm done with this, so you can take a look. And we'll cover that tomorrow, unless there's something else that's really fantastic that's happened. But I found it well worth listening to and seeing what their perspective is. I'm not backing that there are two people out there, Inki and Enlil, that they're alive and that these are the people. I have no idea. I just found an interesting way that the storyline has been portrayed here, because there's many pieces to this puzzle, and I've tried putting pieces together, and sometimes I think it's like this, and then sometimes I'm thinking it's like that, and this was a well put together pieces of the puzzle. So we'll take a look tomorrow. All right, until tomorrow, have a nice day.